Hey everyone, welcome to another Daily Dose. So one of the things that I love doing with my kids and they're really into at this time in their life is Legos and things called magnetiles, where we build structures as much as we possibly can. But in their young age, one of the things that they haven't figured out is that in order to build something really high, they have to spend some time building up a solid foundation. That's never taken into consideration, though. I'm just their dad. What do I know, right? And so they build up as quickly as they possibly can, but then the slightest little thing will make their tower of magnetiles come crashing down around them. Because again, they didn't have a solid foundation. They don't understand the dynamics and the wisdom behind doing that. And really, one of the things in our lives is that we know that for anything to last, we have to have a solid foundation. This is one of the things that is talked about often, and it's actually how Jesus ends his Sermon on the Mount. That in order for us to succeed with things coming against us, we have to have a foundation that is built on something that is solid, not something that can easily be washed away. It's a passage that many of you have heard many times before, but I think it's important to note that this is how Jesus ends his Sermon on the Mount. As people were listening to him, as he wraps up his teaching, this is what he has to say. Matthew chapter 7, verses 24 through 29. He says this, "Therefore, everyone who hears these words of mine and puts them into practice is like a wise man who built his house on the rock. The rain came down, the streams rose, and the winds blew and beat against that house, yet it did not fall because it had its foundation on the rock. But everyone who hears these words of mine and does not put them into practice is like a foolish man who built his house on sand. The rain came down, the streams rose, and the winds blew and beat against that house, and it fell with a great crash." When Jesus had finished saying these things, the crowds were amazed at his teaching, because he taught as one who had authority and not as their teachers of the law. So Jesus outlines how two people would respond. And he's saying, okay, you've heard everything that I've had to say today. I've been teaching on all of these different subjects and calling you into a life that is different, that is countercultural, that is based on my kingdom, not the kingdom of this world. And he's challenging them over and over again. And so he ends this whole thing by saying, okay, therefore, you're going to choose one of two things after everything that I've said today. You're either going to take all that I've said and put it into practice and build your foundation of your life on something that is solid and unchanging, which is me, or you are going to base your life on something that is shifting and something that is shallow and something that when the storm of life comes can easily be washed away. And he said, here's your choice. What are you going to do? And he outlines what happens when you choose him versus something else that is less than him, something that is shallow, something that is anything else but him. When we base our life upon Jesus and on his words. And it's not just listening to the words, because he says it's those who put them into practice. So once again, it's not just hearing the word and thinking that that's enough, but it's actually living them out. When we do that, we're going to be set. Not that storms won't come against us, because in both cases, the storm comes, the rain comes for both of these things, but only one who is built on the foundation of Christ stands. And he says, but if you build your foundation upon me, if your life is based upon my truth, upon my goodness, upon everything that I have described and desired for you, then when those rains come, it won't take you out, because it's not based on something shallow. However, if you build upon the sand, when your life is based upon something that is surface level, even just religion like the Pharisees of that time, just based on surface righteousness and nothing else, then when hard things come up, it's not going to last. And so his challenge for us as we hear this message today, as we understand that storms are going to come, things are going to go bad in our life, we have to ask ourselves the questions, well, is our foundation solid? And so today, let's focus on building our foundation upon the solid rock of Jesus Christ.